Okay, in this video I just wanted to talk about the flight requirements for the DJI Neo, and essentially this is just because people have been asking me about this because I do some drone tutorials, and they wanted to know if you need to register the aircraft essentially to be able to fly this. And it's different for everywhere. I mean, my understanding is mostly of the kind of UK rules, but I can look at the US rules a little bit, and obviously you need to look into it in more detail yourself, but I can give you the overview of what's required. So basically the way that the UK rules work, everything is based under the CAA, or the Civil Aviation Authority, and the drone itself is a very light drone. Essentially it's a 135 gram drone, and with most of the rules around drones, if you're flying in the lower weight categories, we're always looking below 250 or 250 grams or above 250 grams. So obviously it sits within that. But then there's also the sort of declaration between whether it's a toy or not a toy. So if we have a look at this, we're on the CAA website. I'll link to all this stuff so you can check it out and have a look. Essentially, you've got a flyer ID and an operator ID, and you need to find out if you need one or the other or both, and you can quite easily find it out on here. So you can see registration requirements for drones and model aircraft, and we've got below 250 grams toy, and for that you don't need to register for anything. Below 250 grams, not a toy, no camera, right? So it doesn't fall under this because it does have a camera. And then below 250 grams, not a toy, with a camera, you need an operator ID, but not a flyer ID. And then 250 grams and above, you need both. You need an operator ID and a flyer ID. And I'll tell you how you can get these things. Like, it's not complicated or difficult. It's it's all pretty straightforward. But basically, we need to know, does it fall in here? Do we not need to register it? Or do we need the operator ID? And essentially, if you come down to here, look, you can see working out if your drone or model aircraft is a toy. It basically says, is it marked suitable for below age 14 or younger age group? Is it a package to attract children? Have you bought it from a toy department or retailer? This is a tricky one because you can, I believe, actually buy some of them from what you probably would deem to be a toy retailer, but the actual requirements are here on the page. So look, you can see DJI Neo. This is the official DJI store page. We come down to the bottom. Who is DJI Neo suitable for? And then you can see right at the bottom, DJI Neo is suitable for users age 16 or above. So they're telling us right there it's not a toy. So we basically fall into this. So it's below 250 grams, it's not a toy, and it has a camera. So we need to get the operator ID. So what we can do, if we jump a page back, and like I say, I'll link all of this stuff so you can kind of take a look. So the operator ID, you can see here, you can register just as an operator. To be honest, you can do the flyer ID as well. It's all real common sense stuff, like you can even check on here, look, you can do preparing for the test before you take it, and that will kind of like give you like a bit of information. It's free to take the test, but you do have to pay for your operator ID, which is £11.13 a year. It changes ever so slightly every year, like small inflation amount, but basically it's a fairly, it's a pretty cheap thing to do. So if you want, you can just register as an operator. Like I say, I'd probably do both because the other bit is free, and it's 5 years anyway, only every 5 years. But you can come in here, register as an operator, and then you can see here, it's just like a form that you just go through and kind of start. So you just hit start on there. Are you a person or organisation? You come through, put in your email. And then, I can't go through on this because it sends you a code for it. But basically, it's just, you're just assigning yourself to the drone. And then if we come back to here, you can kind of see, so the flyer must have a flyer ID. Not always relevant because, like I say, for this one, actually, you only need an operator ID. As I say, I would get both, but you don't specifically need it in the weight class that you're in. The operator must have an operator ID, so that is essentially binding you to the drone and saying you're the person that has registered the drone. If somebody else flies it and crashes it, that's on you, because you're the person who's responsible for it. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to mark it up so that you put your operator ID on the drone. So you essentially are saying this is who's supposed to be in charge of the drone when it's in flight. And talking about the Neo, it's wrapped up to be a pretty safe drone. It's got like the prop guards that are already part of it. It's it's quite small. Bigger drones, I mean, to be honest, even the mini drones, if you get a nick from the propellers on them, or one falls out of the sky and hits you, it is going to hurt, and you're going to be liable for that. With the Neo, it's much smaller. It's fairly well concealed if you keep its prop guards on, so it is a much safer thing to fly. It hasn't got any obstacle avoidance, but it's much smaller. It just generally sort of bounces off things, and it's going to cause a lot less damage to buildings and people and cars and all that kind of stuff, because there is the very high possibility that it could just fall out of the sky at some point if like props are damaged, battery runs out and it can't get itself returned to home properly. It's it's very possible. So and that's part of this. You kind of learn the what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, and like I say, it's very much common sense. If you're flying a drone as small as the Neo, you shouldn't really be getting up to the kind of heights that are going to be a problem. It's already should be geofenced, so you can't fly around airports and common sense places you shouldn't be, national parks, that kind of thing. And it's also it's got to be visual line of sight. I mean, it's I suppose the only way really you could get the Neo to go very far is with the FPV goggles. So otherwise it's so small, it's got not really any lights on it, you're not going to see it particularly well if you do just fly off with it with the remote or from your phone, and you're on a limited range from your phone anyway. So but yeah, if you like I say, just kind of come through and just kind of check out what's here, because it's important that you do take a look and just make sure that you're actually registering like correctly for all of this stuff. So just be sure that you've checked it, and you actually check this link here that should you be registering and all the rest of it. Like I say, I fly drones under this. I did the flyer ID anyway, and I mean I did an A2CFC as well, but because I do fly some other drones. But just come in, check this out. For people in the US, it's slightly different. My understanding in the UK, there used to be a like a hobbyist or personal, and then a commercial separation. And then a few years back, that all kind of got merged into one, which kind of meant that really anybody with a drone could do commercial work. And the line was always so skewed with it, because people were doing stock videos and YouTube videos and making money off the back of it, and then it was kind of like, is that commercial or personal? And it was a bit messy, so they sort of just merged it all into one thing. And I mean, me personally, I have insurance for all my drones, anything I fly, but that is down to you. If you're doing recreational flying, it's not a necessity. For commercial flying it is. If you're getting paid for it, you should be having the drone insured and stuff. So again, that's sort of down to you. But in the US, they've got this separation where actually if your drone is under sorry, let me just find the size. So it's in the US, so it's in pounds, so it's 0.55. Again, that's 250 grams. They actually have an exemption for it because it falls into limited recreational operations, which is a little bit like what we used to have in the UK. But you can kind of read all about it on this page. And again, I can't, I can't give you all the legalities of it and everything, but you kind of need to look at this stuff for yourself. But essentially my understanding in the US is that you can be in the sub 250 gram, but it is just purely in like a hobbyist kind of recreational area. So anything above that, obviously you need to be registering your drone, and you can kind of see again on here, you've got like, it's $5, covers all drones in your inventory, and it's valid for 3 years. So you can do all of that stuff if you need to. But like I say, just take a look at these links and just make sure you understand what you're doing, because ultimately you log it with DJI anyway, so you could kind of avoid doing this, but then you're already logging it with DJI, or the flight data's there. It will get tracked back to you whether you decide to register this or not. So just kind of be sensible with it. Make sure you understand the rules and you know what you're doing. I've already seen people flying through power cables and just doing stupid stuff with them that they shouldn't be doing. So just make sure you know what you should and shouldn't be doing. Like I say, it's common sense, but if you do something silly like hit power lines, or you end up messing something up on a railway track or something similar, you're liable for a lot of money, and potentially you can go to prison for that kind of stuff. So just understand where you can and can't fly, and be sensible with it. So yeah, hopefully that's been helpful. If it has, give the video a like. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe.